Freedom City Radio. Hey guys, welcome to my first episode, Freedom City Radio. Today I'm going to be talking to you about a prophecy that I come across, and it was kind of by random. I was on the Nextdoor.com application, or the website Nextdoor. It basically connects your neighbors together, and it's been something that I've been paying more attention to in recent weeks. There's been random shootings in my neighborhood. Their things have been getting stolen, so I've been keeping my eyes out on the neighborhood, trying the best I can. And somebody created a Christian truthers group and started posting videos in there. So I was interested because I just randomly came across it. Only a few people had joined. I think but by the time I joined, there was 12 people already in this group. So pretty small group, and somebody's been really animate about sharing information on there. And one of the things that they've been sharing is prophecies. Now, I never heard of this guy before. His name's Brother Byron Searle, and I think he's probably pretty big in the Christian community. I'm not really sure, but I have seen a few videos on YouTube linked to his prophecies. But anyways, I was taking the words that I was reading and hearing with a grain of salt, because I've heard a lot of crazy, bizarre prophecies before, like December 21st, 2012, the world's going to end, asteroids coming to hit the earth, all kinds of insane things. But I read some things and heard some things in this prophecy that kind of stuck with me, and it wasn't just because of him, but let me get into it. Middle of July, he said that God told him we have 7 weeks to prepare until the time of testing, that a great darkness is coming. He called to Genesis, it was Genesis 41. And these are verses 33 through 36. I'll read it out. And now let Pharaoh look for a discerning and wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh appoint commissioners over the land to take a fifth of the harvest of Egypt during the 7 years of abundance. They should collect all the food of these good years that are coming and store up the grain under the authority of Pharaoh to keep kept in the cities for food. This food should be held in reserve for the country, to be used during the 7 years of famine that will come upon Egypt, so that the country may not be ruined by the famine. Now, Brother Byron Searle says that Joseph was given 7 years to stock up, but we will have 7 weeks. 7 weeks until the time of testing. Now, this isn't the first time he's mentioned this. He's mentioned this all the way back in February, saying he saw visions of empty store shelves, and that in 1 hour everything went from normal to chaos. Now, we did see back in March a little bit of chaos. We ran out of toilet paper, so people definitely freaked out. But I know that some areas were hit harder than others, but definitely certain kinds of food, canned food, rice, things like that, completely wiped out. And it took a while for them to get back and stock things, but it was never necessarily a danger of food shortages, because there was actually still a lot of different food you could buy. People just mostly bought out of fear, and then food ran out. But from things I'm reading, I believe that this is actually a lot different. I don't think that it's going to be people fear buying that's going to cause food shortages. I think something massive is coming, and we will not be prepared unless we prepare ourselves beforehand. Now, I'm not acting as if I know anything of the future. I don't. I've just been trying to have an open mind to these things, but he does tell us that God told him, the evil men who want to control your lives will have free reign, for I will allow them to do this. Now, I have a very close friend of mine, and growing up when we were in high school, he was actually atheist, but he came to the Lord around age 21, and he went through a significant change in his life as he was looking to spirituality to try and understand things. He told me he even seeked out Lucifer. If Lucifer is real, I want to find him. I want to see him. Well, one day he told me about his testimony that the exact moment that he allowed Jesus into his heart because he was reading the Bible, and he's like, you know what, this is real. I'm gonna do it. And he said, Jesus Christ, if I basically submit myself to you. You are the Savior. You are the Lord. This and that. And he said, in this exact moment, the window burst open. It was duct taped closed, and he said it's been through all kinds of hailstorms and this and that, all kinds of parties that we've had at his house. And in the exact moment that he accepted Jesus into his heart, the window burst open, and all this wind came flying in, and it created kind of a whirlwind in the center of his room with all these leaves. That was like it was just a profound and magical moment to him, where he basically couldn't deny it anymore. He could not deny. He knew it was real because what he felt in his heart and what he was physically experiencing from the world around him. He knew that what he was going through was real. And well, anyways, he's been telling me a lot about getting prepared, and the time is coming. And we all know that on YouTube, maybe not all of us, but people on YouTube have been saying end times for a long time, like get ready, end times are coming. Well, years have passed and nothing's come. But here's the thing is that when Jesus Christ does come, he'll come like a thief, and nobody will know when he is coming. He'll be a thief in the night. And when you're sleeping and you're unprepared and that thief comes, the only thing that will save you is being prepared. Maybe having a shotgun right by your bedside. Maybe having like security camera system. I don't really know. These are all metaphors, because you can never physically prepare spiritually enough for things like this, and that's what we need to do is prepare spiritually. And I'm still trying to understand what that means. Anyways, getting back on track here, Sister Sherry, I also don't know who this person is, but I was reading a blog related to this person, and she said that she was asking the Lord for confirmation about Brother Byron's prophecy. And the night or the week that she was praying a lot for this, she had a dream in July, and the dream was standing in line at a grocery store with empty store shelves, not even a loaf of bread. Now, I was wondering why maybe she was in the store if there's nothing to sell, but she's probably, getting some random items that she could, because there's not even food left, but she's getting what she could. Now, this is a dream, of course, and she also had a dream just like last week, saying that she had a dream of people panicked, rushing the dollar store as the dollar store owner was closing the doors, and these people were rushing there, and he's closing the doors because he probably has nothing left to sell, and many people will not be prepared. Brother Byron was also having other dreams, prophecies about, like he said, like 16,000 people, or like a huge community of people outside of the Walmart, because they did not have the food, and people are angry, people are demanding, like, why is this happening? Well, I decided to go on my own research binge of figuring out about food shortages, and I learned a lot of interesting things. Well, over the past months, we've been having increases of certain food shortages, not just food, but like supply shortages. Similar to when we ran out of toilet paper, now we are running out of jars and lids for people who have decided to create their own gardens this season. And using glass jars and lids is pretty much the most fresh way you can store these items. Well, anyways, since there's been such a massive increase unexpectedly, that the suppliers couldn't expect, they're extremely low. I mean, when I say low, like these places are completely sold out. Let's say stores are ordering like 4 or 5 or more cases of these things, and they're only getting a fraction, like 1 or 2 cases. And so when they come in, they're basically sold immediately. Meat prices have gone up 10% because we're having shortages on meat. Yeast, extremely low supply. Pepperoni, a random item, has gone up 75% in cost. We're also running low on aluminum. And unrelated to food, we're running low on coin. We've been having coin shortages. So A lot of interesting shortages that could have a major impact on the food supply in the close coming weeks. Like he said, we have 7 weeks in the middle of July. Well, now we're in less than 2 week period. So, also, natural food supply, meaning like the food that grows naturally outside without, humans growing it, is also low. In Minnesota, they've been having bear alerts issue because bears have been basically infiltrating cities trying to find food because their natural food supply is very, very low. And this is due to dry conditions, extremely dry conditions in the north, central, and northeast regions. And I just saw on a map like 2 days ago, because of the fires and stuff going on, like the West is hit with an extremely bad drought that is just dried up and heated this whole entire region where I live, Denver, Colorado, but all the way out to the West Coast and down to Texas. So, in addition to the United States facing some food shortage issues, Australia is also having issues. States are refusing to budge on their borders. They have certain issues, like, for instance, in Queensland, that's their agricultural state, they require a 14-day quarantine for anybody coming into their state. And this includes the truck drivers who are transporting food into the cities. And they're coming back, having to quarantine for 2 weeks at a time. This is extremely slowing down their food supply lines. Also, Victoria and New South Wales are battling to control their second wave of coronavirus infections. So this is also slowing things down. Each state is having their individual ways of combating the coronavirus issue, and it's really slowing down food supplies. And they're saying that, this is really going to create food shortages in the very near future unless they take a battle on this now. In North Korea, the leader is called to round up pet dogs for food. That is how severe food shortage is in North Korea right now. They need pet dogs to be rounded up for food. In China, they've been faced with massive amounts of floods and COVID-19, obviously the origin of COVID-19, but the headline reads from Asia Times on August the 14th, COVID-19 and floods spark China food crisis fear. Now, before, like over the summer, they've been calling people to get out of their homes, spend money, eat out to boost the economy. A lot of people are staying in their homes, conserving their money, trying to save up money just in case something horrible happens. Well, their government's been telling them, hey, we need you to get out. We need you to spend money. We need you to boost our economy. Well, in addition to that, they've also been calling to end excessive eating, or, quote, more on your plate that you can finish. And they've been going as far as to name, shame, and even fine and jail squanderers of food. And in Wuhan, they have a new rule that they've been implementing called the N-1 rule. N-1 meaning you have a table of 10, you can only order a maximum amount of 9 entrees for your table of 10. So they've been having really strict policies to end food waste, and the flooding is extremely bad. 11.4 million hectares. I think that's like 1 billion acres of crops destroyed. That's I believe those wheat crops that I read, and their production is down for wheat 9 million tons compared to last year. So not only are they having food shortages within their country in their production, but China is also the number 1 food importer in the world. And the countries that they get their food from, such as Brazil, Canada, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Russia, and others, they have all cut their exports to China in order to replenish their own food stocks. So other countries are, trying to keep up with their food supplies that are diminishing, and it's impacting the world. And in Australia, 1/3 of all of Australia's farming exports go to China. And that's about $40 billion. they are heavily reliant on China for this money, and China is pretty strongly reliant on them too, but they've been acting like they're not, because Prime Minister Scott Morrison, he's been increasing political hostility in between the two countries, and he's been calling for an independent international injury search into the origins of the coronavirus. And so China has introduced sanctions on Australian exports. So China's been acting like they don't need them, but they do probably need those exports more than they're leading on. But that's one thing that China does. They're very stubborn, and they try to, mend people with their stubborn policies. Well, let's look across the world to Kenya and northeastern Africa region. They've been facing massive food shortages. Locusts have come through that region. Massive locust plagues have swept through and destroyed, like in some cases, 90% or more of crops. One of the headlines reads, "At least 3 million Kenyans face acute food shortages." And so the urban poor of Kenya spend 50% of their 50% of their money on food. And there's been increased food prices, decrease of income, and loss of jobs in this whole region. So this problem is just getting worse. With time, it's just getting significantly worse. And similar thing in Uganda. 70% of them are distressed over food shortages, reads a headline. 1/4 of these people, in a survey, 1/4 of the people have gone a whole day without food. And the majority of these people are forced to consume only one type of food. So these guys are heavily reliant on a very small thing. And if that small little food was just to get destroyed, wiped out, or whatever, like they're out. They have nothing, and this is really scary. And a lot of places in the world aren't even available right now to help them because they're trying to help their own countries. So this is very scary. And that locust plague that affected Africa so heavily a few months back has moved throughout the Middle East and is heading towards India. And this is a massive locust plague of biblical proportions. So I myself have been trying to prepare. Now, I'm not trying to instill mass fear or anything like that. I'm not trying to scare people and say, oh, you need to go out and, like, for myself, I went out and spent not that much, maybe $60 on some canned food, dry food, and other things that would be able to help my family, because I've been worried about my family. We pretty much just go week by week, replenish food as we need. And, if people went out en masse right now trying to stock up, not good things would happen. So I haven't been trying to buy a lot of food en masse. I'm going to make a few trips this week of just, getting as much food as I can that I believe will prepare my family for about a month. And I don't even know if a month is enough. Honestly, this could last a lot longer, but I'm trying to just be safe and not, do anything too radical. So when you're buying food, think of this. Think of a possibility of no electricity. Because with no electricity, the water could get shut off. And, without electricity, we don't really have any way to cook food other than fire. But I live in an extremely dry region where fire is extremely dangerous. So cooking on fire is not really that smart. Just got to think about these things. Consider the possibilities, because right now we're not looking at anything good for our near future. We had coronavirus hit. We had the riots hitting over the summer. And now we can expect something big to happen in the next month or less, because this prophecy is saying less than 2 weeks now. And as we approach closer to election time, we can see the trend that only bigger and worse things are going to happen. I'll probably have later videos talking more about the things ahead relating to the riots and other political things like that. But this video, I just wanted to focus on the food shortages. So sharing information is our greatest tool. This video is not meant to instill fear. Is not meant to cause hysteria, but it's meant to I'm sharing this out of love and trying to find purpose for myself, and to also, encourage people to be prepared, because you do not want to be those people waiting at the last moment, scared out of your mind, just grabbing anything. Because think of it, if these stores run out of food, people are going to be rushing from the cities out, trying to take anything they can to survive. And I've heard from other places that potential cannibalism is a possibility for these areas. So it's really sick. It's really scary. But I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. Like, let's be prepared. Let's be the people out there that can save the other people who are freaking out. We can save them with the word of God. We can save them with food supply. We can save them with calmness, because that's what they need. They need leaders that are calm. So I wish my best to all of you, and just, try and find new ways of information that isn't our mainstream headlines. But anyways, thanks for tuning in today to Freedom City Radio, and I'll see you next time. Take care. God bless.